What's good, Commanders fans? Just wanted to make a way too early roster projection video just about the wide receivers. I'll probably do position by position throughout the season. Updated after mini camp and a couple mini camps, a couple OTAs after we go through that, just updates from there. Rookie mini camp is coming up as well, so I definitely will be making a video recapping that. I may make a rookie mini camp preview or something like that. I mean, just talk about storylines, just what I'm looking for from the UDFAs and the draft picks that we got, just kind of what we're looking for. I mean, we're not going to get much information, but there will be media there at rookie minicamp. So, excuse me, it will be intriguing just to see the guys in helmets and t-shirts and shorts, just doing something football related. So it will be fun to see that. We'll see what number Jaden Daniels wears. Is it going to be number 5? We'll see. I know he was on the Keyshawn Johnson podcast talking about it. Keyshawn Johnson did the majority of the talking. Jaden Daniels, he sounded like he wanted the number, but we'll see if he tries to pay Tress, or even if Tress Way is trying to give the number away. We'll see. I'm not too pressed about it. Whatever number Jaden gets, I'm not really much invested in it, so we'll see what happens with that. But let's get to the wide receiver position. Typically, we do keep 6. Sometimes we keep 7. I mean, with the previous regime. Looking at it last year with the Niners, where Adam Peters was the GM, they kept 6 guys. It was Debo Samuel, of course, Brandon Ayuk, Juwan Jennings, Raymond McLeod, Danny Gray, and Ronnie Bell. So they only kept 6 guys. I don't think it's really necessary to keep 7. It was nice to keep Mitchell Tinsley, but, he was on the practice squad for the most part. It was good to see him make the roster and just earn a spot. So I was just happy to see him get that last roster spot last year. That's something to look at. If we do keep 7, then one of the guys, one of the UDFAs may make it, like Mitchell Tinsley, maybe Jackson, Romsey, Saint, Marcus Roseme, Jack Sate out of Georgia, which I do like. I do like the way he catches the football. Doesn't drop the football, more of a possession receiver. Does have some yak ability. Had a couple of touchdowns last year with Georgia, just over the past 2 seasons. Only had 2 drops. So he has good hands, good instincts, good length, provides some height. Not the tallest guy in the world. I mean, let me see how tall he is as well. But I like the game that he had against Tennessee where he had 2 touchdowns. I think he's a talented guy. I think he's a talented wide receiver for sure. Let me just see. 6'2", 195 pounds. So we don't really have a lot of height, in which, to me, separation is most important to me now in the NFL, just the way the game has changed. It's all about separation. We have a lot of guys that can separate. Terry can separate. Jahan can separate. Those 2 guys can certainly separate. Other than that, we just got to see more from the guys. Like De'Ami Brown, I think the guy's on a bubble for sure, is like De'Ami Brown. But just looking at the overall roster, Casimir Allen is still on the roster. Just looking at the depth chart, Bryson Tremaine is still on the roster. Dax Milne is still technically on the roster, so you will see him in minicamp. You will see him in OTAs. It's kind of like the Trey Apke of the offense for this roster. I mean, he's just been on the team for a couple years. This is going to be his 4th season in the NFL if he does make the roster. Davion Davis from Sam Houston State is technically on the roster, so he'll be at minicamp and OTAs. De'Ami Brown, Jamison Crowder, they brought him back. Special teams ace. This is going to be his 10th season in the NFL. Already said Bryson Tremaine, and then they signed Olamide Zaccheaus. And then, of course, you got Luke McCaffrey. You got Luke McCaffrey, 3rd-round draft pick, who I think certainly is going to make the roster. They're looking for him to make an impact for sure and be that 3rd receiver, be that tall slot, that 6'2" slot guy who had 2nd in contested catches in the FBS and had 13 touchdowns. So he's a guy that could be a red zone target. Maybe you could throw the ball up to him. He can go get it. And he's pretty speedy too. 4.4 40-yard dash. Ran a faster 40-yard dash than his brother, Christian McCaffrey. And also had a super quick cone shuttle where he broke records for his cone shuttle run as well. So super athletic. As you guys know, for the most part, we do have somewhat of a Smurf receiving core with Terry and Jahan. Not the shortest guys in the world, but 6 feet, 5'11". We just don't have like a big body, physical receiver. And Terry is very physical. He's very physical. He led the league in contested catches 1 year. So he's a physical guy. I mean, whatever you want from Terry, he can do it. 28 years old, 6 years in the league, got paid. So we're just looking for that 3rd wide receiver. Who's really going to step up and be in that 3rd guy? It's going to be De'Ami. It's going to be Olamide. It's going to be Luke. It's going to be somebody that we don't know about. So let's break it down who I think is going to make the roster. Guys who I don't think who already are, I would just throw in on the practice squad who probably will not make the roster. I guess easily we can go with Davion Davis out of Sam Houston State. Casimir Allen probably would not make the roster. Let's see if he makes the practice squad. He was not drafted by these guys. So they don't have any allegiance or any affinities or any loyalty to him at all. I think maybe the practice squad, if that, he cannot muff punts in preseason games. He cannot fumble the ball in preseason games. He cannot drop wide open passes in preseason games. If he does that, he will be released immediately, probably after the first preseason game. Davion Davis, Mitchell Tinsley, Bryson Tremaine, he probably will not make the roster. Very talented, but that's a guy that I probably look to keep on the practice squad. Maybe Romsey Jack Saint replaces him on the practice squad. Mitchell Tinsley, super, super talented. Had a really good preseason. Just wasn't able to really get on the field last year. I would keep him on the practice squad if I could. And then Dax Milne, solid, just doesn't do anything great. I did go to that Ravens Commanders joint practice last year, and he looked really good. Like, he was doing a really, really good job on one-on-ones. Like, he caught everything. He did a really good job in practice. So he's a really, really good practice player for sure. And then, of course, Terry and Johanna, your shoo-ins. And Luke McCaffrey is the third guy, of course, as well. So after that, I'm going to say Olamide makes it. Olamide Zaccheaus makes it because I think they brought him in here for a reason. Had a solid year with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And then the Eagles didn't really get many targets. He did have that 1 year. I'm sorry, not the Buccaneers, but the Falcons. He hit a solid year with the Falcons 1 year. The Eagles kind of tailed off. Wasn't targeted much after A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. He only had 10 catches for 164 yards. The year before that in Atlanta, though, he had 40 catches for 533 yards. And that's a solid number 3 guy. You know, how many touchdowns? He had 3 touchdowns as well. A solid number 3 guy. So I wouldn't mind him as our number 3. I would rather have, of course, Luke McCaffrey step up and be the number 3 guy. But I think they want Olamide Zaccheaus to make this roster. He's 5'8", 193 pounds, so another short guy. Went to Virginia, has some yak ability, can break tackles, and like I said, had that big touchdown catch against the Bills. So that's 3 right there. Luke McCaffrey is 4. And then after that, Jamison Crowder as a punt returner. You got to have a punt returner. Cannot have Dax Milne back there. Jamison, yes, he did have that terrible fumble against the Jets, but that punt return against the Falcons was the punt return touchdown. The last time we had a punt return touchdown was by, guess who? Jamison Crowder, back against the Giants and then back against the Ravens many years ago. Many years ago. So we need some pop. We need somebody that can flip the field and help us with field position. Jamison Crowder is really the only guy that can really provide that consistently at the punt returner position. Maybe Casimir Allen if he can catch the football, but he's just not reliable. So that's 5 guys right there. So it really comes down to De'Ami Brown and then maybe a UDFA, man. Maybe Romsey Jack Saint steps up, or they want Mitchell Tinsley to make the roster, or whoever makes the roster. So really, I mean, but honestly, De'Ami should beat those guys out. It's just he has not really stood out the last couple of years that he's been in the league. He hasn't really stepped up. He did have somewhat of a drop problem his rookie year. Then he cleaned it up his second year. And then this year, once again, just a pedestrian year. And Eric Bieniemy was trying to get him the football. Like, he was spreading the wealth. And, you know, he tried to get him the ball on the red zone. One time he just slipped. So it's like sometimes he just can't get out of his own way. His rookie year, 12 catches for 165 yards, where he had a problem where he was slipping a couple times. Remember the Dallas game in his rookie season, he kept slipping and falling. And then 2022, he had 2 touchdowns. He had 5 catches for 143 yards, 2 touchdowns in the Carson Wentz game against the Titans, where he played really, really well. And then 12 catches for 168 yards and 1 touchdown. The 1 touchdown that he had was against the Seahawks. And then remember the connection that he was supposed to have with Sam Howell, and that never really came to fruition. I didn't know he only had 12 catches on the season. I felt like he had more than 12 catches, but it's crazy. Like, he's only had 12 catches. His career high in the season is 12 catches. Catch percentage, 35% in 2022, which is underwhelming. 48% in 2021. 52% in 2023, which is better. And he had 1 rushing attempt in 2022 for 15 yards. So he was a 3rd-round pick. I mean, he just hasn't really amounted to anything. And I think he's a talented player. You know, route running, he's just a one trick pony where he's just running deep, a go route, and is that really it? Can he do anything else? He did have a nice crosser against the Seahawks and got that touchdown. But other than that, I just don't really see much from him. He's a solid gunner on special teams as well, but he's not a punt returner. And he's been a great practice player. Every year in practice, we just hear that he's mossing guys, cooking guys, this and that. And then we get to the games and we just don't see much. I know that preseason game against the Ravens too, he dropped a couple passes where Sam was dropping in the bucket for him. He was just dropping passes. So it's not like it's not like he drops a lot of passes, but you know, he just, for whatever reason, doesn't bring it. I remember the Bears game, he had a deep pass, he just wasn't able to bring it in. So I do have De'Ami making the roster, only because I just don't see anybody else leapfrogging him. Maybe they pick Mitchell Tinsley over him and go with 6 there, or they just go with 7 and keep De'Ami and Mitchell Tinsley. So really, I'm just going to go with 6. I'm going to go with Terry, Jahan, Luke, Olamide Zaccheaus, Jameson Crowder as their punt returner, and De'Ami Brown as their 6th and last receiver. So those are my 6 guys that are making a roster. Let me know if you guys have anybody else making a roster, or anybody else making a leapfrog like Romsey Jack Saint or Mitchell Tinsley making a roster. So it's really kind of cut and dry with this team because we don't. I mean, somebody has to emerge out of nowhere, really, for De'Ami not to make it. The only thing is that they didn't draft him, and he just hasn't shown much. I didn't know that he only had 12 catches for his career high over 3 seasons. So that is very, very, very underwhelming to me. I want to see what Terry McLaurin's catch percentage is real quick. I'm just really intrigued by that. So yeah, you look at Terry, 62% catch rate, 64 in 2020, 59 in 2023, and then you look at De'Ami's, it's like 52 is his high, 35 is 2022, 48 is 2021. So you just look at that. Is that his fault or the quarterback's fault, or is he dropping passes, or he's just not bringing the ball in? So, that's just the really bubble guy on the team for me is De'Ami Brown. You guys let me know what you guys think. Help the Commanders. Peace.